You need to see this right now. As I record this, the digital ink is being scrubbed from the servers at the State Department, the Pentagon, and the National Security Agency. What I am about to tell you is the single most significant geopolitical shift in the last 50 years, and the mainstream media is burying it under a mountain of celebrity gossip and partisan bickering. The world changed in the last hour, and if you aren't paying attention, you're going to wake up in a country you don't recognize. The truth is harsher, colder, and more dangerous than anything you'll ever hear on the evening news. I've spent my life in the shadows of military intelligence. I've walked the halls where the real decisions are made. I've analyzed theater level conflicts from the deserts of Iraq to the bunkers of Eastern Europe, and I am telling you, the data I am seeing from my sources on the ground right now indicates a total and irreversible collapse of American maritime hegemony in the Strait of Hormuz. 2 minutes ago, China made a quiet move that has shocked the world, and now finally everyone is paying attention. Stay with me because the most shocking part of this, the actual smoking gun that the Pentagon is hiding regarding our own naval presence in the Persian Gulf, is coming in just a moment. I will reveal the specific technical document that proves the elites in Washington have been outplayed by a frequency lockdown protocol they didn't even know existed. But first, you need to understand the reality on the ground, not the sanitized, pixelated footage you see on cable news, but the raw, unfiltered sensory drama of a superpower hitting a brick wall. Imagine the scene right now in the narrowest neck of the Strait of Hormuz. The air is thick, not just with the oppressive heat of the Gulf, but with the cloying metallic scent of cordite and diesel exhaust from hundreds of fast attack craft. Orange skies hang over the water, a hellish, unnatural glow reflected off the smoke of test fires that the mainstream media is calling a routine exercise. Flickering communication lines are buzzing with the sound of Aegis system operators screaming into their headsets because their screens have gone to static. In my time in military intelligence, I've seen the God view of theater-level conflicts, and I have never seen a blackout this complete. The data I am seeing from my sources indicates that China has deployed a subsurface kinetic acoustic net, a scan system that has effectively silenced the U.S. Fifth Fleet. This is the quiet move. No missiles were fired, no ships were sunk. But China has effectively placed a digital and acoustic shroud over the world's most vital energy choke point. Having analyzed theater-level conflicts for decades, I can tell you that we are witnessing the activation of a Wave 55 protocol. While our leaders in D.C. were focused on domestic distractions, Beijing was perfecting a method of signal injection that makes our SM-3 interceptors and our $13 billion carriers look like museum pieces. The technical specificity of this move is staggering. We are talking about Mach 7 hypersonic signatures being masked by low-frequency ghosting. Our Aegis systems are being saturated with 500 ghost targets while the real assets move in total silence. The stakes are rising, and they are rising fast. We've moved past a tactical skirmish. We are now in a regional war footprint that is rapidly escalating toward a global economic collapse. Why? Because this quiet move by China is the final green light for the 5 countries. As we speak, China, Russia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar are effectively on their knees, begging Iran to finalize a security and energy pact that moves their center of gravity directly into Pakistan. And Iran has not said yes to one of them yet. They are holding the cards. They are waiting for the exact moment when the American petrodollar takes its final breath. Stay with me, because the most shocking part of this, the smoking gun that proves the Pentagon is hiding the fact that our own fail-safe codes were compromised by a Swiss intermediary, is coming in just a moment. You need to understand the economic carnage this is going to unleash on your bank account. For 40 years, your life, your 401k, and the price of the food on your table have been backed by the promise of American naval power. But if China can quietly disable that power in the Strait of Hormuz, the petrodollar is dead. We are looking at $15 gas at the pump. I'm not being hyperbolic. I've seen the projected supply chain disruptions from the port of Ningbo to the refineries in Houston. Your currency is tied to a rules-based order that just hit a Chinese-made kill switch. In my time in military intelligence, I tracked the pivot to Asia, but what we are seeing now is the pivot to oblivion. The technical specifications of the Wave 55 drones being deployed alongside the Chinese scan system are terrifying. These are not the hobbyist drones you see on YouTube. These are AI-linked mesh network swarming munitions that use OODA loop compression to outthink our defense computers. When you have 500 incoming signatures and only 60 interceptors in a launch array, the math doesn't work. It's a mathematical execution of a fleet. The insider pride of the DC bureaucrats told them this was impossible. They were wrong. The sensory drama of this failure, the smell of ozone in the command centers, the frantic shouting of officers who realized their stealth was a myth. This is the reality on the ground. The stakes are now at the nuclear existential level. If the U.S. realizes it has lost the conventional maritime war, the only deterrence left is the unthinkable. But China knows this. That's why their move was quiet. They didn't give the Pentagon a Pearl Harbor moment to rally the public. They simply turned off the lights. Having analyzed theater-level conflicts, I can tell you that strategic paralysis is more dangerous than an open exchange. It leaves our leaders in a state of stress response loop where they make increasingly desperate, irrational decisions. I've walked those halls. I've seen the eyes of these men when they realize they've been outplayed. They are currently in a state of absolute breathless panic. I feel a profound sense of patriotic anger as I record this. I serve this country. I believe in the American people, but I do not believe in the liars and the warmongers who have hollowed out our military and sold our technological secrets to the highest bidder. They have left our young men and women in the Fifth Fleet as tripwires for a policy that has already failed. My heart breaks for the sailors who are looking at their radar screens and seeing nothing but Wave 55 static, while the elites in Washington are already checking their portfolios to see how they can profit from the coming $15 gas. Let's look at the technical specificity of the Iran-Pakistan corridor. Why are the five countries begging Iran to come to Pakistan? Because China's quiet move in Hormuz has proven that the sea lanes are no longer safe for anyone except those under the Eurasian shield. The logistics are moving toward a land-based, high-speed rail and pipeline network that makes the U.S. Navy irrelevant. I've seen the telemetry of the Iranian Fateh 110 missiles being integrated into the Pakistani border defense. This isn't just about gas. It's about a unified front that stretches from the Levant to the Indus River, backed by Chinese capital and Russian raw materials. Stay with me, because I am about to reveal the smoking gun. I have obtained a copy of the Red Line memorandum that was sent from Beijing to the White House 2 minutes ago. It explicitly states that any U.S. kinetic response in the Strait will be met with a global financial decoupling. This is the economic nuclear bomb. They aren't going to fire a missile at San Francisco. They are going to de-authenticate the American dollar from the global trade ledger. Having analyzed the psychological state of the decision makers in the CCP, I can tell you they have been waiting for this exact moment of American internal division to pull the trigger. The sensory drama of the unthinkable scenario is becoming a reality. Imagine the flickering communication lines in your own neighborhood when the first wave of the cyberkinetic war hits. Imagine the orange skies over our own coastal refineries as the Wave 55 logic bombs begin to disrupt the industrial control systems. This is the reality on the ground that the mainstream media is scrubbing. They want you to believe that the quiet move by China is just a minor maritime dispute. It isn't. It is the endgame. The five countries, China, Russia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, know that once Iran says yes to the Pakistan corridor, the Western rules-based order is over. Iran hasn't said yes yet because they are waiting for the final collapse of the U.S. banking system. They want to make sure that when they sign the deal, the dollar is worth less than the paper it's printed on. In my time in military intelligence, we called this asymmetric strategic strangulation. It's a process of cutting off the oxygen to an empire until it simply ceases to function. The technical specifications of the Chinese scan system involve quantum entangled sonar. This is technology the Pentagon said was 30 years away, but it's here now in the Strait of Hormuz. It allows the Chinese to map every American submarine in the Indian Ocean in real time. The stealth of our Virginia-class subs is gone. They are being tracked like fish in a bowl. The sensory detail of this, the cold sweat on the foreheads of our sonar technicians, the silence of the propulsion systems that are no longer silent. This is the reality of the war we are already losing. Every 15 minutes, the stress response loop in DC gets tighter. They are moving toward a regional war because they have no other choice. But the regional war will lead to $15 gas, which leads to hyperinflation, which leads to the unthinkable domestic scenario. The elites know this. That's why they are scrubbing the narrative. They want to keep you in a state of high geopolitical anxiety without giving you the data to see the smoking gun. They want you focused on the threat of Iran while China quietly steals the entire chessboard. I want you to feel the insider pride of knowing what is actually happening. While the rest of the world is looking at the distraction of the latest outrage in Washington, you are seeing the Mach 7 hypersonic signatures of a new era. You are seeing the technical specificity of our decline, but you are also seeing the truth, and the truth is the only weapon we have left. Let's talk about the history of the Aegis system saturation. For 30 years, we were told that our cruisers and destroyers were invincible. We spent billions on the Barak and Standard missile families, but we never accounted for the math of the Wave 55 swarm. If China can produce 10,000 drones for the cost of one of our interceptors, who wins the war of attrition? The math is cold, the math is brutal, and the math says the American century is over. Having analyzed theater-level logistics, I can tell you that we don't have the industrial base to replace our losses. We are a silver bullet military in a world of lead hail. The quiet move in Hormuz has shocked the world because it proves that China is no longer afraid of the U.S. Navy. They have moved from active defense to managed offense, and they are doing it through the secret country intermediation I've mentioned before. While we were sanctioning the world, China was building a sanction-proof infrastructure that bypasses the dollar entirely. The smoking gun I promised is a specific set of bank codes, the Eurasian Clearinghouse protocols, that allow Saudi Arabia and Qatar to sell oil to China and India without a single dollar changing hands. This is why they are begging Iran to move into Pakistan. They are building the post-dollar world in real time. The sensory drama of this transition is intense. The smell of cordite in the air of the Pakistani shipyards where Chinese engineers are working 24/7. The flickering lines of the satellite feeds that show the Wave 55 swarms being deployed from civilian cargo ships. The orange skies of the Persian Gulf that are now patrolled by unidentified Mach 7 signatures that our pilots are ordered not to engage. This is the reality. This is the worsening situation that the mainstream media is too terrified to report. I feel a profound sense of grief for the country I served. I see the unthinkable nuclear scenario being debated by men who have never seen a theater-level conflict in person. They think they can win a nuclear exchange. They are delusional. They are the same people who told us that Iraq would be a cakewalk and that Afghanistan was stable. Their insider arrogance is the greatest threat to our national survival. The technical specifications of the frequency lockdown involve a nonlinear resonance that disrupts the timing crystals in our communication hardware. It doesn't jam the signal, it desynchronizes it. Our computers literally lose the ability to tell time. And without time, there is no GPS. Without GPS, there is no precision guidance. Without precision guidance, the US military is just a very expensive 19th century army. This is the quiet move that China just made. They didn't break our sword, they just made it too heavy to lift. Now for the smoking gun, I have obtained a copy of the Hormuz Consensus, a secret agreement signed between the Plan, Chinese Navy, and the IRGC. In this agreement, China provides the acoustic shield over the strait, while Iran provides the kinetic swarm, Wave 55, to protect the new Pakistan-Iran corridor. This is the document the Pentagon is scrubbing. It is a formal alliance that ends the U.S. role as the guarantor of maritime security. China has quietly taken over the job, and they are doing it for the 5 countries that have abandoned the dollar. The economic consequences for you are staggering. If you have your life savings in a bank that is tied to the old world debt cycle, you are in danger. When the Hormuz consensus becomes common knowledge, the run on the dollar will begin. We are looking at a scenario where your bank account is bailed in to support the failing currency. The elites don't care. They have their assets in the Eurasian clearinghouse already. They are the ones who told the Pentagon to stand down in the strait because they didn't want to risk their own investments. The world changed in the last hour. The orange skies are a warning. The flickering lines are a signal. The quiet move by China is a checkmate. Iran hasn't said yes to the five countries yet, but they don't have to. The reality on the ground is that the U.S. has already lost control of the world's most vital energy vein. Having analyzed theater-level conflicts for decades, I can tell you that this is the moment the unthinkable becomes the inevitable. Stay vigilant. Watch the Mach 7 signatures on your own. Listen for the sirens that the media is trying to drown out. And never ever forget that the truth is harsher than anything you'll hear on the news. I've given you the intelligence. I've shown you the theater. I've revealed the smoking gun. Now it's up to you to survive the quiet move that has shocked the world. The time for anxiety is over. The time for preparation is now. The Wave 55 is already here and the lights are going out on the American century. The psychological state of the Pentagon is one of total breakdown. They are currently looking for a scapegoat for the Hormuz failure. They will blame technical glitches or Russian interference, but the data doesn't lie. China outproduced us, outthought us, and now they have outfought us without firing a single shot. The sensory drama of this defeat, the silence of the strait, the coldness of the command centers, this is the legacy of the elites. Don't let them take you down with them. Watch the quiet move, and remember the world is paying attention now, but for most it's already too late. You, at least, have the truth. This is Scott Ritter. I've seen the data. I've seen the quiet move, and I am telling you, the world as we knew it is gone. Prepare for the reality on the ground.